Now today, with so many housing areas popping up all over the place, these subdivisions, these developments all over the place, and everybody's looking for somewhere to lay their head, to own their little piece of the rock. But there are things that we need to be mindful of when we make a decision to go into a new subdivision. So where do we start in trying to get it right?
All right. Well, first of all, we going back to that proverbial adage, location,
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 location.
location.
Yes, no matter how cheap an area might be, no matter how attractive the land is, is your commute to work now going to be 90 minutes because you get a deal at $5 a square foot?
Yes.
Or, will you be able to commute easily between friends, family, and your activity? So the location has to be right. You want it close to amenities. That's, the comforts of life are what help you to live at home peacefully when you know you can get something from the supermarket, which is just 5 to 10 minutes away, or you don't have to veer off 20 minutes to go to a gas station. So those things are important in deciding where you want to live first off.
Right. So location, location, location. Is it central to everything or is it in some rural area where it's away from everything? And then you make a decision that I want to be in that particular subdivision. But there are other elements to the whole thing because in selecting my plot, whether I want to be near to the main road or I want to be further inland, how do we go about selecting our plot? What's your recommendation?
Well, always think first off, drive through, get a feel of the neighborhood that is
Hmm.
coming. Do you like privacy? Do you want to be in a little enclave at the back of the neighborhood? I know people who desire on purpose to live in the last row of the neighborhood. They're not seeing all the headlights from the cars, they're not hearing all the noise,
Yes.
that type of thing. Some people want to be close to the entrance because as often as they need to pop home, they don't want to be driving through a maze of roads. But things that people don't think about are, is your plot located anywhere close to one of those drainage grills?
Yes.
Now, it might not seem like anything big, but after 3 years, when that grill makes a loud noise every time somebody drives over it,
Hmm.
you start to feel as if you're in a living nightmare. These are things that people don't think about at first.
Yes.
Also, you have picked a plot next to the green space because it gives you the illusion that your land is more than it really is.
Hmm.
And that green space is beautifully manicured when you are buying into the development. But who's going to be maintaining it?
Yes, yes,
Is
yes.
it just going to be bush after time?
Hmm.
And, could it be a place to hold predators and rats? And so you have to think out these things. What sometimes looks very sexy when you are about to buy in, how will it be after 3, 5, or 10 years? So you got to think that out.
Yeah, you're right. And whether it's a corner lot or another one of those other lots, because some people just don't like to live on the corner. You don't mind living elsewhere,
Mm.
but that corner lot in itself can either limit or enhance your building possibilities.
Yes, yes.
So,
Now, the next thing too,
go ahead.
even in terms of the lot, um, you want to make sure that if suppose that development is offering you a house and land package, the biggest area in which to focus the majority of your spend are certain details that you will not be able to change over time. Meaning, if you know you absolutely want 3 bedrooms, go for it. If you know you want a larger footprint in the living area, go for it. If you want the size of the house to be a particular size, pursue that because remember, those elements can't change, but you can change cabinetry and carpeting and wall paint and so forth over time. But
Yes.
you want to make sure that the footprint is really want to keep you happy from the
Hmm.
get go.
Yeah, because you're hemmed in by your agreement. So if it says it must be this size, it must be this size. You can't now go and
Yeah.
decide, I want to really put on extra bedrooms, and then you encroach on someone else's property next door. So you have to be very careful
Hmm.
on that footprint that you're talking about. But the house design is where we're talking about too, where that is, because if the development says you can only go so high, you can only go so high. If not, you're breaking the covenant.
Yes. Yes. Uh, that is essential in a neighborhood. Now, remember that covenants, I don't want to say they trump town planning regulations, but
Hmm.
let's say town planning regulations might say no cats, no dogs, no business in this particular area, but your covenants go a step further in the sense that they might tell you no properties over X height. No guard walls to the front. You can only use fencing from the side of your house to the
Right.
rear. No line drying at the back. You can only have a washer and dryer. So covenants are the aspects of the agreement that you want to pay attention to, because you might be loving the neighborhood, but it might be requiring some things of you that you were not expecting at all. And I've seen it. I've
Yeah.
seen people commit and then they're like, wait, I can't hang my clothes on the line? What?
You're right, you're right. And that's why we need to pay close attention to what we sign off on. Knowing what it is that we're getting involved in will help making living in the new division so much more interesting. So pay attention to the fine print, have that discussion, take it away, the agreement, and look it over. Have someone else with another pair of eyes look it over with you and for you. How much of knowing who the developer is important?
Ooh, that is critical. What happens when you research John Brown and realize, wait, he's the man that carried away money from somebody from the last development and then finished the two houses? You
Yes.
need to do some research on who is the developer of this project. What is their track record? What have they built before? Go and check out any areas in which they have, would have had house and land packages, and you can see the properties still standing after 10 years. Ask questions. Pay attention to things like the payment plan, stage payments, and so forth. And of course, make sure you have an attorney to pay attention to the fine details. Even things like warranties for certain things, are there provisions in place for warranties for external things? Plumbing, probably not so for such a long period, but is there a warranty for X thing? Get your attorney to pay attention to those fine details.
Yeah, you're right, because sometimes you move into a new development and within a relatively short space of time, you're seeing cracks. You didn't know that was going to happen because you did not yourself do that test of the ground to ensure its stability and a whole host of things. And you need to be able to know to whom you turn for recourse. So getting to know the work and who your developer is really aids in your assistance when it comes to getting some kind of recourse.
Correct. And even as regards that, yes, you're putting a lot of weight on the developer, but don't be afraid to ask permission to, can I do test holes on this plot? Yes, all the lots look as if they're, the land is the what do you call it? The foundation might be close to the surface, but your lot might be the one lot that happened to be close to a cave underneath. Don't be afraid to do test holes to check the integrity of the land, because you might not have much recourse thereafter. I remember driving into a subdivision. One day it was raining. I had to show a property, and I was mortified to see a house at the bottom of the hill underwater. There was 3 feet of water. And she would have bought into that division thinking, ooh, I got a nice house towards the rear in a cul-de-sac, but would have never thought about things like flooding, drainage. Those types of things. So you have to be really paying attention to a lot.
Road network, the layout of the road, because that's also a consideration. A lot of people don't give attention to that, the space for parking, that kind of thing. Let's talk about how important it is to also look at the plan very carefully and see the space around you, the road network, the carriageway, so that you're able to move in and out in comfort.
Case in point, there is one development that I'm not going to pelt under the bus. All I will say is that every time I've gone to show the same house, I've been lost for about 10 minutes. The maze up inside that development. Listen, look at, especially if it's a very large development. Look at the roads. You really want to be taking 6 turns and 2 straight roads to get to your. You really want to do that? Listen, these things enhance or defeat your comfort level altogether.
Yeah, you're right.